All right, it's game day. The Real Kyper and Bourne Show, Leaf Edition. Wherever you are watching, listening, Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Welcome aboard. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours.
Yes, sir. Game
good?
day at long last. Yeah, what's going on?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good, Sammy.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a snowy night in Toronto last night. So it felt like winter, mid-January or late January now. It felt like actually winter for a change here.
I know,
So,
after last winter, this is kind of nice.
yeah, there's a bit of snow on the ground.
I see you got your Real Kyper and Bourne hoodie, which is great. Looks fantastic.
Thanks.
But, I'm starting to, one of the first things I look at is, what cap is Sammy wearing today? I do believe that you just do not grab the first one by the door.
It was the first thing I asked him today.
You've got something going on here. When you put on a Blue Jay hat, it's like you got something going on. What is it? A signing soon? What?
Quite frankly, it actually is the closest to the door. I have at least 150, 200 hats in my home, and about 10 of them are in the little walkway. There's my go-to hats, and this is one of the go-to hats. There was a bunch of Leaf hats laying around there. I don't really wear a Leafs hat on the show, so I went with the Jays today. Decided between Jays and Attack, and I went with the Jays today.
Okay.
So there's
Do
no
we believe him?
There's no formula.
I do, in this case,
no
believe
formula.
that. But generally, there's something. So today's just a laziness. I'll
Yeah.
on that.
There's
It
no
is
formula.
interesting you never wear a Leafs hat on the show, considering your role is to be that guy.
I know. I don't know. Just never do it.
No more baseball.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, the thing is, I have a fantastic collection of Leafs hats. I probably have 15 of the finest Leafs hats in the land. And I never put them on.
One's nice.
Have you ever thrown out hats?
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, there's no room to put them.
Every year, I do a purge of hats that I don't wear. And then I either give them to my buddy Eric Prime, who gets a bunch of hand-me-downs. He used to work for the Fan. He gets a bunch of hand-me-downs. And last year, my Swansea softball league, I just took literally a duffel bag full of hats. And I was like, here you go, fellas and ladies, just to have your way. And they took them. So there you go.
I do that with popcorn at the beach with seagulls.
But the thing is, I have a ton of really nice ones. And then they just follow a favor. They follow the rotation. So then somebody else can wear them. So there you go.
All right, as we mentioned, game day for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Minnesota Wild make their only trip to Scotiabank Arena, which leads us to Billy Guerin.
Yeah,
manager of the Minnesota Wild. We always have so much fun with him. I'm not sure how much fun he's having lately with some key injuries to his star players, including Kirill the Thrill out, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, but clearly a targeted surgery to clean up whatever's bothering him around the shutdown of Four Nations tournament.
Yeah, it's funny because Leafs are in a remarkably similar position to Minnesota. So they're without Kirill. Leafs are without Tavares and Nyes. Points percentage, both these teams, 620, 5-on-5 goals. It's 100 to 98 goals against. It's 144 to 143. They're the same team. We have the same team playing each other tonight.
One stat that you have here, Sammy, that kind of caught me off guard a little bit was the fact that the Leafs have been so successful the last few years against the Western Conference.
Pump them.
10-5-1 so far this year, which is, I think, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But last year they went 24-6-2. That's off the charts.
Yeah.
Kind of success.
It is. It's a bizarre
Can you
thing,
explain
too.
it?
Yeah, the West sucks. That's why the Oilers get to go to the finals every year.
No,
Because they have to play against
there's gotta
cupcake schedules.
No, to me, it I don't know, style of play or what, but
Yeah.
I
They
they may
not as
be
good. There's a lot of
considered the
bad
last.
teams.
They may be considered overall the weaker conference the last few years, but
It's flipping.
to go 24-6-2.
That's wild. How about the Maple Leafs have not lost in regulation in 9 straight against the Wild?
So there you go. But no,
Ownership.
I look at the Leafs have a good record like that against a lot of teams because they've been really good in the regular season for 6 or 7 years. 8 years. But look at the teams. It's the San Jose Sharks. It's Chicago. It's the Kraken. It's the Ducks. It's the Blues. It's the Phoenix,
Utahns,
the Phoenix
Arizona.
Coyotes. It's just there's not a lot of great teams. They've had good success against some of the top teams too. So I'm not that surprised with that.
How about Dallas? No Heiskanen. Anyway,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into that. Plenty, probably, maybe we'll have some sort of report on him because we have not heard yet on Miro's injury last night to and what it means to Dallas just yet, but more on that in the National Hour. In the meantime, let's go to Craig Berube for our first Kippers Clipper on meeting the Minnesota Wild.
Very good road team. If you look at their record, very good structure. They got some real good players too. I know Kaprizov out, but very structured team. They make you work for offense, goals. They do a good job with their structure and their D zone, and they don't give you a lot, and their goalies have played well.
What do you call him?
Kaprizov.
He's close.
They're 7-5-1 without Kaprizov, as he would say, and they are 22-12-3 with him. So they're a different squad without him in the lineup. Clearly, he's one of the best players in the league. That makes sense, but it is a bit of an easier test without him in the lineup.
So to set the stage, with the Leafs still having some injuries tonight, you have Max Pacioretty returns. He's going to sub in on the third line along with Fraser Minton and Nick Robertson. That's their third line tonight. Domi and Holmberg are up on Nylander's line, the second line. Other than that, not too many changes. Tavares is apparently practicing in a blue jersey. I think he may be good by the weekend. Nyes is good to go on the weekend. So Leafs close to getting healthy, but still with a somewhat patchy lineup tonight. And I imagine that's because missing tonight kind of gives you that full healing time for everyone between games.
Yeah, listen, they've built a cushion up here, so I think they can have a little bit of a less pressing need to get guys back in the lineup. Nyes is another one that we will see on the weekend, but give him another 3 days off completely isn't the worst idea ever. And there's really good opportunities here for some secondary scoring to step up, and that's basically it, is it not? Is just opportunity after opportunity for guys to find ways to contribute now.
Is there an owl in here?
Who? This is Nick Robertson, learn to shoot it in the net, or what? It's not going to be Minton or Lorentz or Kampf or Reeves. Maybe Domi. Robertson or Domi. Could one of you two get us a goal tonight?
I know you've brought this up a couple times, but Berube will not put Max Domi with Austin.
No. I think he likes
He wants a puck getter for him, I think.
They've done Nyes for extended period. And then
but there was once upon a time that was a big element also of re-signing Max Domi, because we talked about it and everybody else talked about it, that if needed, he's shown that he could play with Austin, he can create with Austin, and it's not over the course of he is now Austin's left winger, but when there were opportunities in the past, he's shown that he can hold his own for a week or two.
Yeah, I don't think that people said, he's shown that he can play with Austin. I think people said, if you need someone to step into the top six, he's a guy who can do it. And I think he's.
But I'm speaking specifically with Austin. They have shown last year that they could create a little bit of chemistry.
For sure.
And I'm just wondering on a game like Saturday night, is there ever going to be an opportunity? And I'm not suggesting that McMahon isn't a better suited guy for Austin or Matthew Nyes. But I'm just finding it a little strange over 50 games now that he's really not leaning towards that at all.
Yeah, I did the morning show with Gunnar and Ennis, and we were talking about the conversation we had earlier in the year where it's been a little bit frustrating watching Berube learn things that we've learned watching the Leafs closely the past two seasons, which is, McMahon, pretty good player, not a healthy scratch. Starts the year as a healthy scratch. It's that's not right. I promise you that's not right. Here we are. It's Nylander, he's not a 17.5 minute a night guy. And then eventually they get figured out and he's playing a whole bunch. We're could have told you that. It's now you're watching this, Kip, waiting for the Domi thing where it's we started playoffs with him as Matthews left winger with healthy guys. They chose Domi to be there. And I think it was with McMahon. Was that their other winger?
No, Bertuzzi.
Yeah. It was Bertuzzi, Matthews, Domi by choice. And so to your point, it's like, we know that it works. And so it's kind of frustrating watching him. Like, I feel like at some point he'll try it and it'll click and it'll be like, just ask the people who've been here.
Yeah.
We've answered a lot of these questions.
We made the comparison earlier in the year, like searching for your wallet.
When someone else
Right?
is like, have you checked your pockets?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, we checked there.
I checked it. You know, it's just like, I definitely, go ahead.
But no, I get McMahon's okay there for sure. But
Yes.
like Max needs something to get going. Like Max needs Austin more than McMahon does right now.
And
For the greater good of the team, I'm
and
talking
even if
about.
you did Max, McMahon, and Matthews, the three of them, Mitch has driven a line with great success this year. He's been very good. You know, if him and Willie could play together if they had to. I mean, it would be worth doing something to see if you can get Max going for sure.
So I think it'd be nice to try Max there, but at the same time, we've talked about the lack of, accountability and all this stuff from the coaching staff.
Right.
And it's like,
Tough to say, here's your reward for not playing well.
Has he earned the right to go up there? Like, it's a chicken and the egg situation where I want them to get him going, but I also like the idea of them rewarding McMahon for a really strong play and him earning that role, starting from a healthy scratch, getting to the top line. I'm kind of caught between both conversations because I do
And I'm sure
agree.
the staff is too.
Yeah, I do agree they need to get Domi going. So
Yep. That's a dilly of a pickle.
Okay, where do you want to go? You want to go
Well,
Pacioretty? What do you want to do?
Well, I think we were talking about secondary scoring and something that just happened before the show, probably about an hour before the show, that's got a lot of my Leaf Twitter brethren a little bit fired up, is about the Brandon Saad situation in St. Louis, where they mutually agreed to buy out his contract or terminate his contract. So he forgoes $5 million in total money.
Elliott reported that he forgoes 3.63 this season and 3.63 next season. His cap hit, I believe, is
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
So that's prohibitive for teams to say we don't want him at 4 or 5, but someone might give him 3 with a 3 cap hit.
So the question I have for you guys, and you look at Saad probably playing for Berube in St. Louis. There's a connection there. Secondary scoring type of veteran cup winner guy. Would that be a guy you would see as a fit for some secondary scoring on the Leafs?
I think it's a really good question about what he would play for, because you don't imagine he wants to play for much less than he was going to get. But if he had held to that other contract, he was going to be stuck in the American League. Would he play for 2? Like that changes the math to me for the Leafs. Like, does it make sense at this number? Because there is a scale where it gets to a number that you'd say, yeah, it does make sense.
I'm with your buddies, Sammy, who are all questioning this as a look into, as a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be a really cheap number. I got to think after 50 games that you've come up with a blueprint of a wish list and, secondary wish list and third. And I don't think Brendan Saad ever came into the equation. How much does it change from here on in? How much are you willing to gamble to find out if the guy can still play or not?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's not good enough for St. Louis, why do we think he's good enough for us? Is a question that needs to be asked. I think, first of all,
He's having a pretty down year this year.
on the surface, you're like, are you crazy, man? Leaving $5 million on the table? Are you nuts?
Well, he's
That's
not
kind of
leaving-
my thought.
He's not
Right?
leaving it on the table.
What?
What's he leaving on the table? $1 million? I know it's a lot of money,
Listen,
but he's made a lot of money.
I don't even think it comes to anything like this unless you are absolutely sure. And I would hope through his agent
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
that
some
you
feelers
go,
out there.
we'll get back to you on the buyout. And then in the meantime, I'm making 4 or 5 calls to other teams saying you could sign him right now as an unrestricted free agent. What are you willing to pay?
Right.
So I am almost positive that we're going to hear that he's going to end up with a team in a very near future. And it's already been decided how much money he'll actually
2
lose.
years times $3 million a year.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But, for the Leafs, I wouldn't want to go much deeper than $1 million to try him out here.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's fine.
I got a tight salary cap. It'll continue to be tight right up until the trade deadline. We've been working on other options. I don't need this to throw a hand grenade into our trade deadline day here. If you're not the player that we think that you might still be.
Yeah. His career earnings are $52 million, and he's won
2 cups.
2 cups.
Both of the Blackhawks in 2013 and 2015.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what he's prioritizing here. If it is want to be somewhere where I have a chance to win a cup and I'll leave a couple mil on the table for that, or
I want to go to Carolina and I want to go to California and play for the Sharks and make a little extra and
sure,
be the veteran guy on a team.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to.
No,
he's not going there. He's not. He wants to look good, be part of something in the spring. He's not going to San
He's
Jose.
32.
It's not about the money.
Okay.
I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about an opportunity.
Well, and in that case, it may be about making more money later. If he's 32 and he gets at a good spot, maybe someone says, "Hey, this guy still got it. We'll give him another couple of years." Or
now you're just sign a contract for the remaining of the season, and then if you do well, then you go revisit it in the summer, right?
Certainly an option. So
I just think they're. I wouldn't say I'm 100% super excited about the idea and the price would be, but you do see the fit.
Well, and you look at the team, and all we do is complain that no one in the bottom 6 can shoot one in the net.
26 last year for Saad. That's just 1 year ago. 26 is a pretty good year.
Hold on for a second. So you sign him. Let's just say, because we're into hypotheticals this week.
We are. Yeah.
Ask the Vancouver Canuck fans.
Did that get any attention yesterday?
No, not really.
Okay.
You're right away penciling him in with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Where is he playing then? Tell me where he's playing.
Third line. Somewhere, whatever. Right now you got Pacioretty, Minton, Robertson as a line. I don't know what it looks like with Saad, but I feel better about it replacing any of them.
Really?
So, not Pacioretty. You want to play? You think he's got top line chops?
I would think that you
more than Nyes, more than McMahon.
If you want to put him in a position to succeed, then you put him with your best players right away. If you think he's still got some juice, some jam, some legs, go put him with Austin Matthews and see what kind of magic you can create.
Listen, I'm not opposed. Like we're talking, he's got McMahon there now. You're talking about putting Domi there. Brandon Saad's no different to me.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I get Matthew Nyes is the guy, but they're still relatively inexperienced.
Yep.
And there's a guy with all the experience in the world.
And I mean, with everyone healthy, if all of a sudden your third line is like, Saad, Yarncroc, and, a decent centerman, you're like, okay, well, you got a chance.
And again, this guy's now a free agent. He's got he can look around the whole league. I'm not coming here to play third and fourth line. I'm 32 years old. I think I can play till 35 and I can still be a great player.
It's a pretty big ask to say, I want to be on a cup team and on the top line. Teams are going to be like, those spots aren't for you.
Are the Panthers going to be like, welcome to our top 6?
I think he could be sold on a real legitimate shot to be a top 6 guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not starting. I don't want to start on the third line.
Okay. Well,
so
good luck to him on finding a top line spot on a cup contender.
Boston. Would Boston take a chance on bringing him in just to make the playoffs?
Okay, but we're stretching the definition of contender. Right? They're out of the playoffs.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. But at least they're not San Jose.
You're right. Boston makes some sense.
Jersey.
Yeah, they're hurt too, right?
New Jersey would look at him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
God, he can make $3 million in a heartbeat. There's like 5 teams that make sense for him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You want to talk about Tanev? Going to the Four Nations tournament?
Maybe we talk about Pacioretty a little bit on the top power play.
Okay.
On the top power play, and then we can finish off with Tanev.
Okay. To me, Saad is many ways. Pacioretty is your Saad, where you're just like going, I got this veteran whose best years are behind him, and let's see what we can squeeze out of him. I already got one of those.
Yeah, but this one has 2 Stanley Cups. And wouldn't you like to have some of that in the dressing room?
Yes.
I mean, we've talked about the great additions they've made of veteran presence. Thornton, Spezza, Marleau, Simmons, Pacioretty. All of a sudden you go, none of them won a cup. Every vet they added hasn't.
Yeah, you could add that and, I don't know, make him a video coach and he's still around the team.
Well, sure. Yeah, you keep the vibes. That's fair.
But, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I'm not sure you're going to overspend for that quality if you don't think the rest of the quality is there.
I agrie. It is a
Did you say Giordano when you listened to that?
Giordano's another one, yeah.
Seems to be a bit of a theme
But
here.
let's see if Pacioretty can find that fine line between still being a physical presence and maybe adding a few more goals with the 30 games to go. Let's get Craig Berube's thoughts. Clip 5, Derek.
Oh, just another. So the way it's been running with Nyes and Tavares there normally, we got the same type of player there with two big bodies around the net and in blue paint. So looking for things around there, scoring goals in tight, screening the goalie. That's what their jobs are.
So that's him talking about him being on the top power play unit. At some point, you just got to go back to Riley, no?
Yeah, I do wonder when that happens. Not so
It's
much
like,
yet.
what else has to happen here? Like, God love Pacioretty and God love what he's given them this year, but, you're putting him in there instead of just putting Riley back at the
But
top.
also, we're talking about getting Domi going. Like, it's more important to get Riley going. And I don't think that Riley is a great power play player, but I do think you have what you have when you've been dealt, 2-7 offsuit in poker. You got to play your hand or fold it.
Or fold.
But I don't think you're allowed to fold in hockey.
Not till April.
yeah, and they folded. Oh, that wasn't fun.
But, I like the idea of it, but do you agree or am I way off here?
Well, you're going to have JT Miller soon anyway, so you don't have to worry about Riley.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not thrilled with 5 forwards.
No, not a playoff fit to you.
No.
And there's some penalty kills that worry you a little bit.
But with no John Tavares still creating a presence around the blue paint, Pacioretty could be real important tonight.
I think that's how they see it, right? He's the natural finisher, big body who can park it there and do his thing. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I tweeted about today was the schedule. They play 7 of their 8 February games on the road, and then they open March up with 4 of their first 5 on the road. A lot of road hockey here. They haven't been very good. 11, 8, and 2 on the road, but pretty darn good at home. Why don't we check in on Berube with the impact of the schedule? Clip 4.
Yeah, some months. I mean, we went through that stretch earlier on. I thought, well, it's a lot of games and packed in there, compact, and it's going to get like that again in March, obviously. It's just a lot of back-to-backs we had early on, and then it kind of died off a little bit for us. But that was the challenge, I thought, early on. And then, now it's a little bit different now. It's almost, you have too much time off. And, it's just that unbalanced act going on. That's the challenge that I find. It's hard to get the consistency, but that's the way it is, and you just deal with it and do it the best you can with it. So that's March is going to be a real busy month for us again.
Kip said something. Go ahead.
It's like Goldilocks, man. Too hot, too cold. You just can't get it right.
But you said something that has stuck in my mind about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where you said, teams that have games in hand, you don't view that as like the opportunity to get points. You view that as the potential for more guys to get hurt.
Well, just like there's
like Tampa Bay's played 3
always
fewer
is.
games,
It's
and it's
just-
like good luck in the end with 3 extra games to play.
Exactly. I always find it
Never
funny
thought of it
that someone can look at some other team that's got 3 points, games in hand, and they automatically equate it to 6 points.
Yeah, or even 5 or 4, but it's like lots can happen.
Go play those 3 games and tell me that you got 6 points, because sometimes 6 can turn to 1 or 2 with a couple of key injuries and a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah, we had 3 games in hand, and we're only 3 points back, and all of a sudden you play the 3 games, you got 2 points and 3 injuries. You're like, no, that didn't.
Yeah.
Go how
I wish we didn't have to play those games.
Right? So that to me is always part of the equation. I don't mind sometimes
Getting through the schedule.
when you've banked those games in and you're still got a relatively healthy squad and your stars are feeling good and they're not too beat up. Sometimes having more games under your belt and you cross the threshold of still feeling good about your roster is maybe a better thing than sometimes all those games in hand.
And just for context, that answer was a question from Frege about the Four Nations face-off and what it's done to the schedule, and he kind of answered it in that way. That's what he was.
Yeah.
So just for context on that answer, but it has been a weird schedule. Mm-hmm. Like we've followed the Leafs our whole lives. It's very different that it usually is.
December, the everydayness of it was crazy. It was just literally every other day.
And then having these long breaks, and like this was a 1 game week, and then it's like the 2 weeks off for this Four Nations thing. Like it's a very weird schedule. So it feels like your theory.
I know it feels like it, but I don't know how much. Like we should look into this a lot more in terms of what exactly Four Nations has done to compress the schedule. I don't think it's crazy. No, I don't. But that's without researching it. At least my perception is that you're still within the window of the number of days that you played last year. And
well, I think in the past there's been a bye week. Like teams have had a week where they don't play. So this seems like 2 weeks where everyone doesn't play. I wonder if you probably have an extra set of back-to-backs that you didn't have, or 2 extra sets, something to that effect. But yeah, it is. It just feels like it's been it's all or nothing so far for the Leafs.
Well, and at the end of the day, there's only one team with the most back-to-backs this season, and that's your Toronto Maple Leafs, right? They'll end up with 16, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Bonkers.
Tanev on the Fourth Nations thing.
Before we do that, I want to make sure we hear Berube on Guerin before we get Guerin today.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is that cool?
We'll save it last.
Yeah, we'll save it for last.
Okay, well, we got a couple minutes.
But there's a lot to talk about who's going to replace Pietrangelo, and Berube was asked about it today with Tanev. So clip 2, please, the first one.
He'd be a great fit. I mean, looking at their lineup and everything and what Tanny brings, Petro brings a lot of that too with the penalty killing and the shutdown stuff. That's his baby. He's very good at that both. So it would be probably a good fit for him.
I can't believe it. Berube should have said absolutely terrible fit. Makes no sense. He's the 43rd best defenseman in the league. What are we talking about? But he's right. He's a great fit.
Perfect.
I don't know publicly if you can say anything less than what he said.
Yeah.
You would. It's just, again, you want to stay consistent. Either you're all in on this or you're all out. And we know Petro's out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But do you mean the league? Do you mean coaches? Do you mean who should be all in?
Well, Berube's giving you the right answer in terms of what the players want and the league wants. Like there's just there's no world that Berube gets to say today, listen, he's their best player. I don't want him to go. I don't want him to get hurt. And then you're sending Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews there. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I get it. Logically, you can't say that. And of course, just like Tanev is a guy who blocks more shots than anyone, that plays a certain role, who you'd love to get the rest.
Like the percentages are that he'll be hurt before Austin does or before Mitch does,
100%.
Just because of the way he plays.
But I've looked through the options, and it's like, is Doughty ready to go?
Playing tonight.
Playing tonight on the third pair for the Kings. They're going 7D, presumably, just in
first
case he's
game
not great.
since the preseason.
Yeah.
Broke his ankle.
And it's like, Mackenzie Weegar's probably my next guy up. If it isn't Tanev, kind of does everything. Everyone loves putting Tanev on the ice. The second he's on your team, they're like, oh, he makes every pair better.
Is Tanev still the player he is 2 years from now in the Olympics?
No.
I don't know.
I hope so.
I know you hope so.
I surely hope
But
so.
if you're Team Canada, there's no reason to take him if you don't think that he's got a legitimate shot to follow this group into the Olympics.
Well, aren't you trying to just field the best team you can?
2 years
to win what?
To win the Four Nations face-off, the event that's happening.
To win
presented by
what?
Rogers TM.
To win what trophy? To win what?
Hold on. What kind of asinine logic is try to not win?
No, it's not that you're not trying to win. You're trying to develop a team and a program that will go seamlessly into the Olympics with this group. Yeah, you are.
Kip, it's 2 years away. It could be an entirely different group by then. You'll take the best players that year like you take the best players this year.
No. This is with the fact that guys are going there to show that they can be successful and play a certain role.
It matters
so
in
they
terms
can go
of
to the Olympics.
Showing that you can perform in big games and all that.
That's what this is all about.
Well, then it's Evan Bouchard.
It's not to win
then
a
it's Evan Bouchard.
trophy.
Then it's Evan Bouchard. Made-up trophy. It's more made up than any of the other ones.
maybe it is Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, well, that's if we're doing a development camp, if this is the American League of Tournaments.
Yeah.
And the second, if I was on the team and they start bringing, guys who are going to be good in the future, I say, oh, so this doesn't matter then? We're not doing best on best? It's development? I'm good then. I'm going to be with Petro and Cancun.
It's best on almost best. It's not best on best.
It's our country's best on your country's best. Just because Germany's not there doesn't mean it's not best on best.
Hakanpää will play in this tournament.
Yeah, that's Finland's best.
I don't think he will.
That's not best on best.
Who, if it were the Olympics, who would Finland bring instead of him? Someone else?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is.
So you're saying they're resting guys for the Olympics?
No, I'm telling you, they're not allowed to play. If you're not in the NHL, you're not allowed to play in this tournament.
They're not bringing other Finns from other...
Correct.
Okay. All right. I stand corrected. I personally, unlike you, am not up on the Finnish defensive core now.
This guy's
in the
grinding,
SM Liga.
He's grinding over
yeah,
Joker.
So who is it? Give me a name then, Kip. You see him up on the Finnish D.
The Joker at top pair. Let's hear it.
Jorgen's on. Jorgen.
I couldn't call you wrong. That might be a name.
We should go.
All right. Oh, well, we'll have to wait and see. When did they announce
replacement?
The substitute?
I imagine they don't until right up close as they can get. Don't know.
Okay, we'll wait. Pins and needles. You say Tanev. I say, I don't know who I say.
Bouchard.
Do you think it's it?
I do. If they're thinking of it in the way that you're thinking of it, I think it's Bouchard.
Uyghur said he'll cancel Mexico.
Which
for him.
Immediately put him on the top
pair. That's a great answer, though, eh? Isn't it?
He's got plans and he'd give it up for the country. Top pair.
There you go.
He's a good player.
Okay, well, no, Billy Guerin. Let's get Craig Berube quickly on Billy Guerin.
Okay, yeah. Clip 7.
We've got to hear this.
Yeah, for sure. A hard-working team. He was a hard-working guy, very competitive, scored a lot of goals, scored a lot of goals in the blue paint and that type of player, and, mixed it up. Like he was a great all-around player, and Billy's one of the funniest guys you ever want to be around. He's a great guy to be around and hang out with and talk and stuff. He's a fun guy.
Craig. There you go.
You didn't rip him.
No, he's a nice guy.
That's not fun. We saved that.
He's a nice guy.
He likes him.
Okay. We like him too.
Yeah, we're about to have him on.
Okay. Billy Guerin, former National Hockey Leaguer and overall great guy, according to Craig Berube. Up next, when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back into the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Toronto Maple Leafs set to face off against the Minnesota Wild. As the Wild make their only trip to Scotiabank Arena, let's welcome in Bill Guerin, former NHLer, Stanley Cup champion, now general manager, and does everything for the Minnesota Wild. Billy, how are you, bud? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good, Kyper. How you guys doing? Borny, how are you, buddy?
Doing good.
Yeah, maybe a little healthier than you guys these days, and just not necessarily, anybody in your roster going down here, but top players here. How are you handling it?
Yeah, I mean, fine. Look, you guys know it's part of the game. Unfortunately, players get hurt, and I think the more you dwell on it, the worse you're going to make it. You just got to focus on the guys that we have in the locker room and ready to play that night. The guys who are injured, it's unfortunate, but we got to do our best just to get them the proper care, get them back healthy, and get them back on the ice when they're ready. But until then, we have to focus on, the game. We have a big game tonight against a very good team. We have to focus on that.
For the record, it's Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov and Brodin as well out of your lineup here. And I assume that whatever's going on with Kirill is the similar situation where he missed, 12 games prior? And it was just an opportunity around the Four Nations tournament to clean something up that's with minimal, games played now with the shutdown, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the first option, the first option is never to put a player on the operating table. Unless it's absolutely necessary. This was something that we thought we could kind of rehab on its own, and it just hasn't worked. So, we're going to Plan B, and hopefully this will, it comes at a pretty good time. I mean, if there is a silver lining to it, we get the 2 weeks off for the Four Nations tournament, and that helps. That takes a bit of the sting out of it, but we're a better team with Kirill, with Broads, with Marcus Johansson in the lineup, and when they get back, they'll be back, and we'll be a better team.
Bill, like NHL teams, when they make their quest for the Stanley Cup, it tends to be the elite difference makers. The best teams have these guys that pull them through. Obviously, Kaprizov is one of those guys. But you guys have some great young players who I don't know if other people thought they would become the players they are now. Watching Matt Boldy, I cannot believe how good this guy is. And Faber, same thing. What are the ceilings of these guys? Can they be among that elite class of guys in the league?
I absolutely think so. I mean, I'm obviously a big fan of all those guys that the guys that you mentioned, and all our young players. Matt and Fabes they're both on the Four Nations team. They are elite players already,
right?
But they still have a lot more room to grow. Marco Rossi's played really well for us this year. Liam Ogren's getting a crack at things. So we need these younger guys to chip in a bit, and Matt and Fabes they're not really young anymore. Neither is Marco, but the more we can get from guys like that, but guys like Liam Ogren chipping in, and some of our role players, some of our bottom six guys, the more we can have them chipping in, the better off we're going to be.
So far, Billy, third in the Central, but Colorado's kind of knocking now a little bit with some movement in their roster. You probably got a few more losses the last couple of weeks that you're comfortable with. How is this changing your mindset going into a trade deadline in terms of big picture and a smaller one to have short-term success here?
I always feel like I have to keep the big picture in mind when when I'm going into the trade deadline. I think there's a process to success, and I think you have to have a plan, and I think it's extremely important to stick to it. It's tempting sometimes to want to swing for the fences, and I think we have on a couple occasions, but you just have to step back and think, what's best for the team, what's best for the organization. And it's two different things. Like you said, there's the now, and then there's the long term, but we have to think about both, and whichever one we choose, like what's going to benefit us the most, where is this going to leave us? So yeah, those are, but hey, look, I like to be active at the deadline or before. I'm always a willing trade partner. Hopefully the other 31 guys are watching. But it's and we don't really have. I think we have. The last time I checked, we had about 39,000 in cap space. You can't get very good players for that.
I'll play for you. Come on.
Money. Bourne, we could have probably got you.
39 grand would have done it, Billy, for sure.
A buffet.
We're going to do what we can do.
Yeah. So, right now you're kind of a crucial time for yourself because you're kind of looking at this trade deadline coming up. And I know some people have talked about 2 trade deadlines, almost like doing some thinking before the Four Nations. But then also you're the GM of the Four Nations team. How much are you switching hats? How much are you thinking about that team and how that's going to look?
Every day. I mean, the hat goes off and on both, all day.
Yeah.
And just things are always coming up on both teams. But I'm lucky. I've got a lot of great people around me to help and ease some of the burden and help me make decisions. Both with the Wild and with Team USA. So yeah, it's really important to have good people around you, and I do.
So we just recently heard about Pietrangelo not playing for Team Canada here, and the term that he used was to tend to an ailment.
Canadians aren't happy.
Which, Billy, I'm like, like an ailment. I'm not even sure like if we've ever used the word ailment in hockey history here. And I'm like, and then I Google ailment, Billy, and I find out like it's like you tend to put it together with like a rash or a cough or, allergies. My question to you is that if a player came to you with an ailment, are you even in a position to question it or the validity of it, or it's just at the point of okay, next man up?
No, next man. Listen, you can't question. Like, you look at Pietrangelo. This guy's a champion. He's a star player. He's been an excellent player in this league for a long time. He's not going to the Four Nations. There's got to be something serious. So you take it serious and you support him. The players need support. They don't need to be, forced to try to force him to do something. They have to make their own decision. The number one priority is the health of the players. And you know what? If a player feels that he's not able to perform at the level that he wants to, or needs to tend to something else, then you know what? He just needs the support.
Good answer.
I heard a guy who's happy he's not playing on the other team. So looking at your Wild team right now, Marc-Andre Fleury, obviously you're getting some great goaltending from both your goaltenders. How is it balancing, a young quality keeper and then a veteran guy like Fleury that maybe in his last year, or I think he is officially in his last year, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, you know me, I'm not a goalie guy. I kind of leave them alone.
Yeah.
I let Freddie Shabbat, our goalie coach, kind of take care of them. And but you know what? Honestly, they get along great. They support each other. They support each other at all costs. And Flower's been a great mentor for Gus.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both great teammates. And Gus has grown up a lot in the last couple of years here in Minnesota, and a lot of it has to do with him personally. He's really worked at it, and I think a lot of it has to do with him having Flower right next to him every day. So they're a really good tandem. Like I said, they support each other, and it's been really good. And yeah, they've played well for us too. That's the most important thing.
So after Toronto, you guys head to Montreal. We assume that Marc-Andre will get the start in Montreal. Would you have to build a little PR team around him for that last visit into Montreal, or he's just that pro that you don't have to worry about all that attention?
You guys know you don't have to worry about him. He can
handle it.
He can handle it. He handles it with such professionalism, grace, humility. Like, that's the thing about Flower, is he's just incredibly humble. And I'm sure it'll be. I'm sure the Montreal fans will have some nice things to say about him.
And then the night prior being tonight, Toronto. Any thoughts on this year's Leafs? You guys have seen them already this season. Different than you expected them, or in previous years under Sheldon Keefe, or still kind of the same team to you?
No, I mean, look, they keep getting better. They keep getting more experience. To me, obviously Austin has, been lights out. Marner's always such a good player. They've got a couple injuries themselves. Nylander's the guy that I really think has taken a big step over the last couple of years. I think just, he's got this swagger and confidence about him that I really like. And they're just a solid team. I think Brad's done a great job here. And, like I said, I think they're just a solid team.
Billy, just one more, and I'll maybe get you to put your Four Nations general manager's hat back on as we await to see who replaces Pietrangelo. Are you aware of any injuries out there? And if so, how quickly would you go to another guy? Would you have a list already of who can replace who quickly, and how quickly you'd want to get to the guys and let them know?
Yeah, Kyper, I got the list of injuries right here. Let me read it to you.
No, I'm not asking for names, Billy. I'm just asking how quickly you would know who could replace who.
I'll take the time. If anything does happen, I'll take the time that we're allowed to make that decision. I think we've thought about this. We've planned for it. I don't, I say I take the time, but I don't know. I like making decisions. So maybe I'll just do it right away. But maybe I won't. I don't know.
Okay, and I didn't expect you to give me names on our show.
No,
but
I have them right here. I'll send them over to you.
Email it to me.
Yeah.
Billy, always great to have you on our show, man. Really appreciate you taking time. Wish you the best of luck in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, fellas. Always great to come on with you guys.
All right.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Bill Guerin. He's one of my favorites, by the way, to have on the show.
Busy guy.
And Craig Ruby's right. Like, you get this guy in a room, you're going to be entertained for quite a long time.
There's actually guys that are like too sharp and funny and cutting in the dressing room that you're almost afraid of them. Like, he is definitely a guy you would not want to get singled out by in a dressing room. He's got a sharp tongue. Funny guy. A little wild.
That was funny, though, that you were asking about the injury replacements. I wonder how many more we'll hear coming in here. I wonder if there'll be so few more. Probably will.
I mean,
be,
guys
right?
get injured. They announce the teams at the start of December. The tournament's mid-February. There's going to be injuries.
Yeah, it feels like an old Pietrangelo just creaked open a little door for the ailment boys coming through here.
The ailment boys.
There's other guys that would have been ripped a lot harder than Pietrangelo. And Bill touched everywhere on just the respect that people have had over his career and what he's done and the championships in St. Louis and Vegas. If it's one guy that you can kind of say, okay, he'd be in that class.
I mean, he's checked every important box, like you said, Olympics and Stanley Cups and all that. He's earned the benefit of the doubt for sure.
Maybe he doesn't, I don't know. Does he think about the Olympics 2 years from now? Like, if he's hitting a high level, he'll still be there, right?
Yeah, if he's still the same guy, for sure. I don't think they'd kick him off because of this, but I think if it's between him and someone else, maybe this ends up being the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Good interview. I love that answer.
Bill's
let me just read the list off.
How busy would this guy be?
Is he really going to do it?
No, I was. No, yeah, you're the busiest man on earth.
Yeah.
Where it's just you're trying to do both of these things, and like you talk about the drain it is on the players. I mean, imagine trying to run both teams, and I find it fascinating thinking about what John Cooper's going through, right? Where it's like you're trying to stay in the fight of a season, and then a bunch of your rivals are getting together on a team, and you're going to coach them. It's very interesting.
Can't coach until it's time to coach.
The
managers can make decisions.
You don't think he's fielding a few texts on players and talking about things like
who would play together for sure?
Yeah.
So I did bump into Brad Treliving Monday night at the at the foundation event there for the Leafs, and I'm like, so big plans during Four Nations. He's like, yeah, I'm going back out west home to. My wife's got me cleaning the garage.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I imagine there would be some peace in that. Everyone leaves you alone.
Oh, I think he's looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Maybe he could
get away from this show.
Yeah, maybe he could make a quick stop over at the Saddle Dome and talk with Conroy about Nazem Kadri.
He's got some. He's going to do some scouting as well. So I'm not just. But the garage is definitely on the list.
Well, hey, we all got stuff we have to do outside of this stuff.
We were talking about hats, boys. I bought a new hat today.
Did it say NHL on it?
No, it's unbelievable. And I really cannot wait to debut it on the show.
Tomorrow?
Tell us.
It'll be a while. It's a retro one, so it'll be a while.
Top hat.
It's fantastic.
With a top hat.
All right. It's 1 hour in the books already. Our thanks to Billy Guerin for joining us. And when we return, we go national. Jeff Jackson, CEO and President of Hockey Operations of the Edmonton Oilers, will join us. Don't go away. More to come. We are clear and ready for takeoff on the National Hour here on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in CEO and President of Hockey Operations of the Edmonton Oilers, Jeff Jackson. In the meantime, the dust settled a little bit in Vancouver for you guys. I think I started the show, our National Hour, yesterday with a hypothetical where I don't think many Vancouver Canuck fans were too happy at the thought.
Riley for Miller.
Many thought I was a complete idiot. And, for the record, hypothetical means like it's just a thought. There is no thoughts of real no movement clauses, whether or not Riley or JT Miller would lift their no move was never brought into the equation. It was just simply of, could you put a package together that could switch these two? Could you build a package around moving these two?
What's funny about people reacting like that to that is that people who follow sports talk radio presumably are the same ones in their hockey dressing rooms having ridiculous conversations like this. Like, it'll never happen, but would you do McDavid for Eichel and Stone?
Got the fellas going at hockey last night, but they're all talking about the take.
I know, but it's because they're very emotional out west with this situation. I don't even think they have one nerve left to even
it's so true.
Talk about it.
Pretty raw,
right? It is like it's right to the bone.
Yeah, I will say
they don't want to hear it. They just shut your mouths. Move on.
So yesterday you went on Sportsnet Central and said about Rutherford. Rutherford commented on his comments.
All I said was I just saw no upside for Jimmy to go on air without at least dangling a little bit of a carrot to say, we think we're close or we're going to come to some sort of understanding or resolution, but to just pretty much like validate the things that many people have known for 6 or 8 weeks now, and has left everybody going, oh my God, how long is this going to go on?
You said something not about Rutherford, but about Miller yesterday, where you said the best thing he could say is 2 words. No comment.
Derek, do we have
no comment? Do we? Yeah, we have Kip saying that yesterday.
That's when you turn around and you use the 2 most famous words in media history.
I played the 5th. Oh,
no comment.
Oh,
so this comment would have been better than what JT Miller did December 23rd. So one of the things that I did say last night on Sportsnet Central was that the problem with Jimmy going public is it just completely ignites the media right back to Rick Tocchet, to answer, and every player, right? So let's just go to JT Miller quickly on his comments yesterday.
What's your reaction to Jim Rutherford's comments yesterday or this week on the situation with you and Petey?
I don't have one.
You don't have any comments?
No.
Is there still all good between you two guys?
I'm not commenting on this.
Attaboy, JT. Great job, buddy.
PR professional Nick Kypreos.
No comment.
It's on in the training room.
Okay. From no comment to plenty of comments, let's bring in Jeff Jackson, President, Hockey Operations of the Edmonton Oilers. It's never in your equation, eh? No comment?
Oh, periodically. It depends on what's being asked, I guess.
Well,
how are you guys doing?
We're well. Thanks for joining with us. Jeff, really appreciate it. I know you're watching afar as everyone else, not just Vancouver, but everybody in the league. But man, it does give you an appreciation when things are kind of in harmony and things are going okay, right? I mean, it's not always that way as us with players, either in junior or pro, even minor hockey. It's hard sometimes to get 20 guys on the same page, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you've got, on every team, you got lots of different personalities and guys at different points in their lives, whether they're single or married or veteran players or rookies or whatever. So different countries, different cultures. So it's inevitable that there's going to sometimes be, it's not going to be all that harmonious. But, the good thing for us in Edmonton is that we seem like we have a lot of good vibes with the team, and sort of after a slow start, the guys are just sort of drawing on their experience from last year and are settled in, and it's a really good group who all like each other and support each other, and so it's good in Edmonton right now.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because you look back at that start of the year, like you guys now look like the team everyone thought you would be. I think a lot of the gambling sites have the Oilers as cup faves, and like this looks like the team we thought the Oilers were going to be. When you look back at that weird start, like how do you make sense of why it took a sec to get on your square feet here?
Well, I mean, it's never as simplistic as just looking at the record, right? I mean, we came out of the blocks 0-3, and before the season started, we had all the gambling sites and everybody who was giving their opinion about who was going to vie for the cup. We were at a lot of people's top of lists, and that has nothing to do with us. We're not saying that. We're just trying to get ready for the season. Our players are going through camp and trying to get ready through exhibition games, and it's a bit of a hangover. Long season, you go right to Game 7. Ultimately, we didn't win, so it's disappointing. The summer goes pretty quick, and then you're back at it. And as a player, you're sort of going, okay, well, we did this last year. We got to play 82 of these games, plus the preseason games, plus whatever the playoffs end up being. So it could be another 2 months. It's a long road. So I think at the beginning of the year, it's not an excuse for any players, but it just takes you a while to sort of get back into the groove of it. And Bill Zito and I were talking at the Board of Governors meeting in December about he felt like his team had the same sort of thing, and they won. So you got to refocus. You got to get everybody in sync, and it took us a while. It took us until November, really, before we started to play more of what we expected from the beginning of the year.
You're listening to President of Hockey Operations for the Edmonton Oilers, Jeff Jackson. So I think this time last year, you guys were running like a 16-game winning streak here and within a game of winning a Stanley Cup. When you look at your team today, where it's at, and I factor in the experience that you've gone through since then to now, do you like your team better today than you even did last season?
I do, actually. I think there's a different maturity to the team, and we're getting contributions from different players. We had a bit of turnover in our lineup, but all the guys who've come in have settled in and really found a niche and a role. And we're getting, obviously, Leon is playing probably the best hockey of his career. 200-foot game, heavy on in the D end, and really, really great on the offensive end, which he's always been. And Connor's doing Connor things, and after a slow start, guys like Zach Hyman and Nuge and other guys are starting to score more. So I really like our team, and I think going through adversity is how you build resilience. And it's cliche, but it's absolutely true that you have to go through some of that stuff, the hard stuff with disappointment, maybe to sort of like keep continuing to grow as a team. And I feel like that's where we're at right now.
We had Bill Guerin on before you earlier today, and he said he likes to be active at the trade deadline. He said, I hope the other 31 GMs are listening. I don't know if Stan Bowman is listening today, but I'm sure you'll be working hand in hand with him as you head towards there. Is there something with this roster where you say, I like our team, but I know what it's like in the playoffs. I just like to shore up X with your roster the way it is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you listen to everybody early in the season, they would have said we needed to go out and get, a top 4D. I think that sort of sentiment has changed somewhat, just given that our defensive group as a whole have played extremely well. They've not hurt us in any games this year. Paul Coffey and Mark Stewart and Chris, the whole coaching staff's done a great job. But Koff, is the D coach, and he's really got those guys playing with confidence. And the thing I like about our D is they're all interchangeable. Like we're using all kinds of different pairs. So guys are switching from right to left side, and there's just a feeling like whoever I'm out there with, I feel good about it. So. John Klingberg, we signed a couple weeks ago, and he's going to get into the lineup here this week, I think, probably at some point. And Hopefully it may probably take him some time. We got to be a bit patient. He hasn't played for, a year and a half. But he was a heck of a player, and he says he feels better than he's felt in 5, 6, 7 years physically. So we've got some time to assess how he plays when he comes back. And, we're always looking to make improvements, probably, adding maybe a bit of size lower down in our lineup is something that we're, looking at. But there's a lot of teams still in the hunt. So I'm not really sure how it's going to play out as far as teams moving players. There's a handful of teams that might be thinking right now that that's what they're going to do. But beyond those handful of teams, I think there's so many guys or teams in the race that, it might end up being a quiet deadline.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Klingberg and what he can bring if he's whatever was bothering him with the surgeries, the hip surgeries, if he's finally free and clear here. But is this do you believe that this is more than just a relatively safe gamble on him? Do you really believe that he could regain maybe a top 4 status?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I look at it, and I know Stan does too, and our staff, our coaching staff. Like he was a top, defenseman in the league, and it wasn't that long ago. And when you have hip issues that cause mobility issues and pain and everything else, like you guys both played, and your hips are pretty critical for not only skating forward, but pivoting, especially for D, going back to get pucks and turning up ice and everything. So I think that, him being healthy is the first step. And if he can, slowly but surely regain his timing and his confidence, we're hopeful that he's a player that can really contribute. For us, he seems like a great guy, fit in the locker room really well. The guys like having him around. He seems happy. So, we're optimistic that he can come in and contribute and be a part of our mix.
So there's Klingberg, and then there's Evander Kane. Like, where is he in all of this? And could he feel like a trade deadline pickup for you at some point?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of up in the air as far as timing with Evander. He had major surgery on both hips in the fall. And at that time, it was a sort of a 4 to 6 month recovery from what the doctors told us and what they told Evander. And then he had this knee issue pop up, which wasn't like a hockey related or workout injury. It was just something that had to be removed from his knee. So that sort of just set him back 2 or 3 weeks probably in his rehab from the original surgeries. So from a timing perspective, I know he's in with our staff every day. I believe he went on the ice yesterday for the first time. It's a slow process, again, with hips, like same as with Klingberg. Like when you're doing sort of major surgical things in that area, you got to let everything heal, and you got to build everything back up from strength. You got to be in game shape. So from a timing perspective, it's sort of up in the air for us right now. We're optimistic that he can come back and contribute also, but we just don't know from a timing perspective.
Jeff, you have a lot of experience on the agent side as well. And you also now in this role, and obviously you've known for years, but you know the value of having these tentpole superstars in your team. So when you saw what happened with Colorado and Rantanen and them moving on from him, what was your reaction to how that unfolded?
Well, I mean, it's surprising sometimes when a player of that stature gets moved, but every team has their own, sort of philosophy. Everybody has their own, salary structure that they want to abide by. I don't know exactly what Chris and Joe were thinking in Colorado, but obviously they felt that was a move they had to make. That may be something that happens as we go forward here with a rising cap and teams having, not necessarily following the upper limit, but having their internal caps that they work off of. So whether it's a trend or whether it's something that starts, I'm not sure. But anytime a player of that stature gets traded, clearly it wasn't an issue with the player as far as, the player himself. both on and off the ice. Grade A from what everybody says about him. So it was comes down to a business decision, and they made it, and that was their call.
Hey, Jax, just watching that salary cap go through the skylights here. You must think that you just got a bargain at $14 million for Leon Draisaitl.
Well, I mean, Leon's a top player in the league, and we wanted to get him, bring him back, and have him here for the rest of his career. So when we got the deal done, we were, whether the cap went up or not, we were happy because Leon was going to be a part of the Edmonton Oilers for the next 9 years. So this year and plus 8 more. So I don't know. I don't look at it as a bargain, Kyper. I look at it more as like he's appropriately placed in the league right now, and that's always that market is always moving somewhat. Just like Nate McKinnon signed, a couple years ago at 2.6 was just over top of Connor's cap hit. So it's continually moving. But yeah, we're just really happy to have Leon. He's a hell of a player and a great leader for us.
Do you think that's going to change, like the perception of contracts to more of what you're talking about? Because right now, we're 2/3 of the teams within whatever it is, a couple mil of the salary cap, you have to have value contracts, people whose play exceeds the dollar amount. Do you feel like now getting people paid appropriately might be okay as long as you have enough good players and value suddenly becomes less important?
I don't think value ever goes out of the importance in signing players. Like you don't, just because you have more cap room doesn't mean that you want to go out and spend money and make mistakes on players. So I think our analysis is not going to change. We're going to try to find value players, whether they're veterans or bringing younger players into the lineup, either through development, better development in our program, or going outside and signing younger free agents, finding free agents in Europe, what have you. So I think that's not going to change our philosophy. It gives you a bit of breathing room, but doesn't mean that you can change your philosophy and just say, we can pay that guy a bit more because we got more room. I think you just stick to the same philosophy, and you get the guys done at the number that you think is appropriate.
So we've got the Four Nations tournament coming up soon, led by your Connor McDavid. So what's it going to be like for Jeff Jackson watching these games?
You want him blocking lots of shots?
Yes, going down and blocking shots. I mean, listen, it's the first time we're shutting down the league here during in season, and now comes the stretch right after it. Just your thoughts on how comfortable you're going to be feeling watching one of the best players in the world, not playing and giving it all in the for Canada, not Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all want to play for our country and whatever the format is. I think that all the teams have top players on all the teams across the league. So I don't think I'm any different than any other president or GM, and stands the same. It's like, we hope that everything is okay as far as injuries. The games, injuries come along unexpectedly. So, knock on wood, none of that stuff happens. I'm excited to watch the hockey. I wouldn't say this is best on best, because some of the best players obviously are not playing in it, Leon being one of them. But still, it's going to be some amazing hockey, and these guys they're highly competitive. That's why they're the best players on their teams, and that's why they represent the country. So I'm excited to watch it. From a fan's perspective, it should be great. It's good for the league and the union to come together on this sort of thing. So, but yeah, in the back of our minds, every team's the same. We just want our guys to come out of it on the other side and be ready for the home stretch.
As they were making the decisions on goaltending for Team Canada, Stu Skinner was not at his best point of his season or of his career, but he's been really good since that time of year. Did you see Logan Thompson's 6-year contract extension and feel like it had any relevance to any future conversations with Stu Skinner?
Yeah, well, Justin, every deal affects other deals. So, when you see these contracts, you sort of say, okay, well, there's one that we can look at and sort of use or not use, or it's a marker, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I mean, Skins, it didn't have a great start along with the team. We didn't play great in front of him, and he would be the first to admit that he wasn't on the top of his game, and I think he would have probably, if he started the season the way he finished last year, in the semifinals and finals, he played like outstanding for us. So he probably would have, been on this team. But look, he's going to have a heavy workload going down the stretch, and not being there. He's got a brand new baby, a couple days old, so I think it's probably the best thing that happened for him is that he's going to have the 2 weeks or a week and a bit off and spend some family time and get some rest and be ready for our stretch.
Hey, Jeff, we're waiting on possible replacements for Team Canada after Pietrangelo decided not to go. Evan Bouchard is among one of them. Do you see a lot of upside for him to participate in something like that, or would you just rather wrap him in bubble paper? Plastic
I don't think Bruce wants to get wrapped in bubble wrap, but I mean, I think that playing in tournaments like this or events like this with the best players, like, you elevate your game and you're around the personalities and Bush is lucky because he's around a whole bunch of guys in our locker room who are amazing veteran leaders like Connor and Leon and Nursey and everybody else. So it's not foreign to him, but playing in these things is special, and it would be, if he was to be somebody that they thought warranted, a replacement spot, I'm sure he'd be happy, and we'd probably come out of it on the other end with a player that had evolved his game a little bit, just whether it's psychologically or physically or whatever. So, if he gets the call, obviously we would support it. Awesome
stuff. Jax, really appreciate you joining us. Before we let you go, how's my Rosedale golf buddy there, Paul Coffey there? I heard he took a hard one today in practice, and bleeding.
Yeah, I just saw that he had gotten a puck or something and had gone off. So I haven't talked to him. I'm sure he's fine. Cough. He would blow it off and say, "I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it." But
I guarantee you, it won't shut him up. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, he's I don't know. He's done a great job for us. So hopefully he's okay. His noggin's okay.
Indeed, he has done a great job. Jax, thanks for doing this, man. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
That is Jeff Jackson, president of hockey operations for the Edmonton Oilers. So, yeah.
It's funny. Look at Stu Skinner. His numbers have been good for a few years now.
Up and down to start usually, and then has pretty good.
But 22, he's a 913. He's a 914 the next year, 905 last year, 902 this year. It's good numbers.
Is Leon Draisaitl the runaway favorite for the MVP right now?
I can't give him the runaway tag. I think he's
he
one
would
of a
win
couple.
It.
I think Quinn Hughes is.
I know
Hellebuck.
I know Connor missed 3 games because of the suspension, but even when he was in the lineup, there were some nights where Leon Draisaitl was the best hockey player on the planet.
Yeah. I'm a huge Leon fan. And part of the reason, if Quinn Hughes had won 2 Hart trophies already, I think I'd probably be like, oh, it's Leon's. I'm trying to fight that, voter fatigue that people get with voting, because he is exceptional, and I don't want to take it away from him if he is the best guy. I think the best forward for sure so far.
I think the 3 finalists are pretty easy. The 3 guys you just mentioned, Hellebuck, Quinn Hughes, and Draisaitl.
Hellebuck is his numbers are off the charts compared to the best guy.
And then you give it to Draisaitl. Yeah. Draisaitl is so good.
They could have grinded him a little bit like Colorado did with Rantanen.
Who? Draisaitl?
Edmonton. They could have.
Why?
Exactly.
That's
my whole point.
Exactly what Jackson's saying.
That's my whole point. Yeah. They could have, and they said no, not with this guy.
Yeah.
Irreplaceable. Go out, even if you think that you're going to, don't give him 14. Go get 2 $7 million guys. I hate that math equation that people give.
I know.
It's horrible. That guy you cannot find.
Well, and also, it's such a ridiculous thing, because it's who are the 7 million guys that are available? Who would you even be talking about? That's not how this works.
But I also think that Draisaitl is a lot better player than Rantanen. Like, Rantanen's really good, but
They're different.
They're different.
They're
for
different.
Sure, but like, I think 32 of 32 general managers are taking Leon Draisaitl over Rantanen. Correct?
They're different.
And I was thinking today that a lot of the assessments we do about players is all about who's better, this or this, and it's apples to grapes and it's oranges to Cheerios, and it's not equal analysis when you're doing player to player. They're different. They're different players. But you're right. Everyone wants Draisaitl.
Yeah.
I can see a world looking at this at Natchez in Colorado where it really works. Like, he's fast and McKinnon's fast.
He's looked good too.
And if the two of them are humming together and all of a sudden he's getting all those kind of second assists that come with playing with one of the best players in the world, you could see Natchez's numbers going up.
They didn't like him though in Carolina.
4 assists.
Who didn't
in
like
3
him?
games.
They didn't like him.
They didn't like him.
Yeah. He probably don't think he drives a bus. My point is, they're different, Rantanen and Natchez, and sometimes it's not about better. They just might fit in different places better.
And you got him for another year at 6.5. So their philosophy is, yes, if we got at least next year with Natchez at 6.5, we're going to go get a $7 million guy, and that'll saw off the 12 or 14.
The best example of this is the Leafs said, what if we get rid of Kadri and we take care of it with a guy who's 80% of his value at forward and 80% of his value at D, Kerfoot and Barry, and all of a sudden you go, all that happened was we don't have Nazem Kadri.
Are you giving it to Kyle Dubas right now?
I mean, it's a bad trade.
I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
Game time?
Game time, baby.
It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app, play the odds, and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Lighter night on the ice tonight, but first game I'm looking at is the LA Kings in Florida to take on the Panthers. Something we'll talk about a little bit after the break, but Drew Doughty makes his return tonight after being out for multiple months, I think breaking his ankle in the preseason. The Florida Panthers are minus 150 favorites in that game. The LA Kings are plus 125 on the money line. On the other side, the Toronto Maple Leafs hosting the Minnesota Wild. Big faves on home ice, as you would imagine. They are minus 160 favorites against the Minnesota Wild. The out-of-conference midweek games, for anyone who's ever been a Leaf fan knows, listening to this, they're not always the best performances by the Leafs, but feels like they're in need of a good one. So I'd maybe stay away from that one a little bit because I don't really know which way to go. And the other one that I'm looking at later on, the Utah Hockey Club is hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Utah Hockey Club are minus 150 on the money line. Pittsburgh 125, plus 125 on the other side.
What are the Penguins going to do?
Well, we could talk about it again.
Yeah, no, we beat that up.
Anyways,
we'll get into it after the break, but Sid addressed it.
You did.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app, play the odds, and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take that break, and when we return, we'll talk about Sid's comments and how much he's had it up to here with the trade deadline.
Did you see
comments?
Did you see Anderson and Tom Wilson going on
Yeah,
yesterday?
I did.
Oh,
Oh my
best.
God,
I did.
we have to talk about that too. It was amazing.
We will, including a very high-priced goalie on waivers today,
Yeah, lots of
which
news.
we will discuss. We'll tell you who at almost $6 million. That and more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. As a reminder, this hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. All right, I know you did this. We talked through Doughty, but what's the over-under as he is playing in one of 5 games tonight against the Florida Panthers? What's the over-under on minutes played tonight for this guy? Because this guy is not like any other
He doesn't like to
defenseman.
not play. I don't know, 16 and a half?
He leads the league every year in ice time.
Yes.
I'll say 22.
I'll say 20,
Right into it.
25.
Geez, you guys think that he's just going to be the guy?
I think he's just gonna look like he hasn't stopped
I
playing.
think he's eager to prove that he's
I
good
think
to go.
I think he's good to go, and I think they're gonna lean on him right away.
Well,
Crazy.
when you have him on the bench, Hiller's just be like, well, I mean, it's Drew Doughty, so again, go out again. Like it's like I don't know unless there's like a what's it called on him, like a minutes restrictions, like they would have in the NBA or something. You're just going to put him out there like he's Drew Doughty, and you're going to live with the results. So I bet you he plays 22, 23 as well.
Yeah, I suppose. Big news.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Frank Saravalli and Josh Yeo, and obviously there's some sort of press release because everyone's reporting it. Utah Hockey Club is down to 3 names. I think there's going to be some sort of fan vote. That would be the Utah HC, keeping Hockey Club, the Utah Mammoth, and the Utah Wasatch, which the Wasatch Mountains, I believe, are in Utah. So that's the information.
They're going to keep Hockey Club.
I'll take Mammoth. Give me the Mammoth.
Hockey Club's so much better than those other two.
It's just they're all hockey clubs. It's not a name. So,
but then will they do a rebrand, or will they just stick with their original?
No.
You can
Fresh chance to sell fresh sweaters and real logo.
Oh yeah. And then, well, if they keep it, then they keep it. Like they're
if they're
missing
the
out.
hockey club, they should make their mascot a club.
They're making. They're losing an opportunity for new merchandise.
Yeah, which is a good reason why maybe they won't.
Maybe they won't.
They would still redo everything, but I'm sure they're going to keep some semblance of these colors.
Mammoth isn't bad.
I don't mind Mammoth.
Mammoth's not bad.
Here come the Mammoth, woolly Mammoth, mountains, cold, snow.
But would they do a cartoony logo or like? I just feel like that's a very 2000s, early 2000s thing that you could really overdo. Crack it. I don't know. Hockey Club lends to me as a jersey guy that could be a much more classic, more not reinvent the wheel jersey. Mammoth to me feels like something they could get a little nuts with, and it could be a really bad jersey.
You would have to not go cartoony.
Yeah, that's exactly my fear, is that it would just be terrible.
Sitting here 30-some years into the Toronto Raptors tenure, don't do it.
Yeah, just be careful with Mammoth is all I'm saying. Anyways.
Okay, before we went to break, we talked about Rasmus Anderson and Tom Wilson last night, Calgary versus Washington.
So,
and,
should we give the background on what happened?
Yeah, go ahead.
Adam Klapka got called up, 6'8" from the minors, hit Wilson.
Hit him good.
Hit him good. I mean, he's huge.
Yep.
Wilson goes down, and on the way up, Klapka gave him a little something to the
cross-check.
Yeah, cross-check to the kidneys. And
which would
Wilson held the kidneys and laid there and drew a penalty. And it really wasn't that bad. But, he drew a penalty. And so later, Wilson went and hit Rasmus Anderson and barely touched him. And Anderson held his kidney and went, oh, and looked at Wilson, and Wilson didn't like it.
But it was funny.
That was very funny.
Oh, nice. We have it here.
Got the video.
Here.
Here. You caught me.
I'm telling you, I could hang with Rasmus.
But it was great.
He would be a riot too. Him and Billy Guerin.
Wilson couldn't handle the size of Anderson's head. First off, he's making fun of him staring at the crowd. But he was...
Willie's pretty good too, though.
Willie's balancing his helmet on top of his own head to reference the gigantic head, the buffalo head that old Anderson has. Look at this. Look at it. His helmet just balancing on top.
Okay, that is solid entertainment.
It's the best. And
right? Those are characters.
Yeah.
You need more of that.
You do need more of that.
And I thought that because obviously we're doing the talking, so it's not an audio medium if you're watching that on Sportsnet or on YouTube. But the point of the building, it was really quiet in the building, so you heard Rasmus Anderson doing his over the top and then everybody kind of laughed. It was a very weird dynamic in the building. I thought it was excellent.
I don't know if Wilson was embarrassed or something, but he was mad. He did not like how that played out.
The most important thing is they're willing participants to get their noses dirty. That's how it starts.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Someone's gonna be mad at me next time I go out there. Who cares?
And on many nights, you don't have that emotional, physical engagement. Therefore, you don't ever get any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one has to follow the other.
Yeah. No, it's great. We need to encourage that. I actually think the league should do something like the PGA Tour with a player. Or the PIP, what does it stand for?
Oh, yeah, the performance. Oh, my God.
It's like the player who's the most talked about online, who draws the most attention to the PGA Tour. They give them millions of dollars, and they encourage these guys.
I've never heard of this.
What? Tiger, even when Tiger doesn't play, he wins it. This is the last 3 years he's won it, and he's barely played.
It's over now.
They stopped doing it.
They stopped doing it this year.
Since Liv died.
This is the year they've stopped doing it.
But they did it for a few years, and it was okay, you're most talked about. So it encouraged guys to be. Remember Koepka and Bryson had their whole public feud. A little bit related to that.
It was called the
You lost me on that one.
Player Impact Program.
Player impact.
All right, just keep it real. Nobody needs to be rewarded for stuff like that. It should be a natural part of the game.
I think encouraging these guys to come out of their shells is a good thing.
Oh, God. We've tried that already with the all-star, skits.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to say this. I totally agree with you.
Those were disasters, guys. Disasters.
And it's kind of the same watching some of the mic'd up stuff like TGL a little bit, which is very good. And I
it's
can't
not
stop
bad.
watching it, I'll be honest. But like, it's a little awkward at times.
Well, they're kind of dorky golfer guys.
So Ryan Reeves had a quote today about this.
What did he say?
He said that he may go into media because in hockey, you're not allowed to say certain things, or guys should come out of their shell and be more fun. And my take listening to that is, I hate to break it to you, these guys aren't that fun. It's fun in the dressing room, but like, go around the room and who's it going to be?
You're talking about the golfers?
No, now I'm talking about the NHL guys.
Yeah.
Like, there's a few guys, but there's a reason Biz and Witt are huge hits. They're hilarious, big personalities.
Yeah.
There's not that many of those guys.
Yeah, but the stuff that they say no one else can really get away with.
Right.
Right?
You're right.
Nobody could get away with.
I'm telling you, you're
they
right.
got a green light that, and listen, I mean,
They've earned it,
you've also
'cause they
got
can
to
walk the line appropriately.
You also have to make the commitment that, like, I mean, I'm not comfortable saying the things that they say on air. It's just like,
right.
we got.
Well, I mean, if we were on an uncensored podcast on a different network, I'm sure we would say some different things.
I don't know,
No,
man.
I don't think so.
I'm not hanging on to a whole lot.
Hey, I got to ask you, this is a very inside radio question, but is it ever amazing to you that all three of us can just come on the air every day for 2 hours and none of us ever swear ever?
Oh, that's jinxy, but yes.
Because like in our pre-show meetings, or talking before the show, it's like half swears. Anyways, continue.
My wife would listen when I'm talking to another hockey guy, and she's like,
What's that about?
how many F-bombs can you drop?
Yeah, did I drop one?
I'm like, oh, really?
It's a seasoning,
Really?
salt and pepper.
Anyways,
As far as
Willie would win the
Listen,
pit, by the way.
the golf, are you into it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure I was going to be, but then I was watching it. My daughter needed something, and I was going away, and I was like, God, I got to pause this. Like, I kind of want to see what happens
Really?
here.
Yeah.
The last one was really good.
It was.
With
Tiger versus
Tiger and Rory, and Tom Kim is like
I'm still-
a weirdo.
I'm still looking at it like I don't want to go to a golf simulator and watch others hit into a screen.
But the
for
best,
an hour.
There's several different.
the reason that it's good is because they have the actual green and like the green side shots and like actual putts and like it builds up to these moments. That's what I was like
Still
skeptical
gonna
of.
make real putts
what it was
on an
gonna look
undulating
like.
green, and
That's what I was. I'm like, oh, they're gonna be putting into a screen here. How's it gonna work? But they have the actual green, so that's what I've liked. And it's just,
you know what
It's-
else I like? I like how far
it's
the
nice to dream about playing golf in mid-January.
Yeah, I like how far the screen is from where they hit it.
Yeah, so you
you
see
can
a little
actually
ball flight.
see the ball
Yeah.
flight
Yeah.
for
I've
50
enjoyed it.
yards or whatever before
I've enjoyed
hits
it
so.
more than I expected. I've enjoyed it.
Okay,
There
good,
you go.
good. Couple injuries,
Yeah.
big injuries, starting in Montreal. Caden Gooley out for what could be the rest of the season.
We did
With,
Hockey Central yesterday.
Lacerated quadricep muscle.
Our own Eric Engels did a nice bit about how effective Gooley has become and how many shots he's blocked. And in that segment, he said, this is a guy that's going to become a household name for, Montreal Canadiens and for hockey fans. And that night,
The video is awful. The fall he
Was it a
takes.
skate?
Yeah, he just it's the way he fall. I hate it.
I'm not going to be watching that.
No, that's one that I don't want Jake to play. But he's just the way he goes off. Extreme pain. Having a great year for an upstart team. It sucks.
Oh, I've got an article I didn't share yet today, but it's about teams who find themselves in a playoff hunt when they didn't plan on it going into the year and what they should do. Montreal is featured in it.
Okay.
Calgary, another team that's featured. Actually, probably Calgary the most, but losing Gooley hurts. They're going to have some decisions to make here in a few weeks.
Heiskanen?
Also big news, and that was off of an attempted check by Mark Stone, a controversial hit
Yeah.
last night.
I
Vegas
grabbed
versus Dallas.
I grabbed Pete DeBoer from post game. He was asked about it. Derek, there's a clip in there, him talking about it. Pete DeBoer clip.
No, listen, I mean, I've coached Mark Stone. He's not a dirty player. He's not trying to hurt anybody. I know that. That doesn't mean, they can't call a 5 or at least look at it. That was my argument with it. But, just pray that he'll get some pictures and we'll see.
Hockey guys love calling X-rays pictures.
They do.
Keith used to call it pictures all the time.
It's an MRI. It's a very deep, multi-dimensional X-ray.
Also, hockey players or hockey people don't know what they're doing. They just know someone needs to look at something.
Yeah,
so
get
they're
the
like,
pictures
they're going
going.
to use the
But it's way
machine.
better. It's way better
eye
than
machine.
someone saying, now we're going to look at the tape.
Yeah.
It's like, they haven't had tape in 25 years.
Yeah.
So-
But it is awkward because Stone is reaching for a puck on the other side of Heiskanen's body and seems to lose his own footing
So
into the knee, which is a bit reckless.
Did he get tripped or did he
Didn't get tripped.
did he hit a rut?
He starts to lose his footing
This
before as he's getting
is a
juked.
guy with a bad back and he's been out for long length of time. He's not. There's just I'm with DeBoer. There's no way this guy's going in and
No,
trying to.
not trying to hurt him.
No.
But it doesn't mean it's a reckless play.
Could be a
He
penalty.
put the other
Okay.
guy in danger, and now Dallas without
Oh my
Heiskanen.
God.
That is maybe the most devastating. Like you go around the teams and take one guy off. Tough to hurt a team more than removing Heiskanen from Dallas.
Yeah. Well,
The rest of their D is
Finland, Hakanpää may draw in now.
Oh boy, it's gonna be a Hawken party. It's gonna be great. Is he able to skate? Does he play?
No.
Do we even know?
What a great opportunity for the Leafs to find out though.
Right, they'll get to evaluate. Well, if they want to
Hakanpää
evaluate,
plays in the Four Seasons. It's like
It's
a
not
free
the
look.
Four
Or Four
Seasons.
Nations.
Is there any hillbillies at the Four Seasons?
Why? I'm
Matthew
getting
Knives
tired.
is in it.
Four Nations.
They're scouting their own guy.
It
at
feels
the
like
Four-
we've been
him in
talking
a
about
game.
this for 4 seasons.
It does. They could put Hakanpää in a game if he can skate. That'd be cool.
Yeah. But just to go back to the Mark Stone thing, he's not going to lunge
No.
his
leg.
head. It wasn't like it was his leg or like he was extending an arm. It was he went head first into his knee.
You
He's
know,
not going to launch that into his knee. I didn't think it
No,
was-
but it's a reckless thing.
Yeah,
you can't
you could- yeah.
drive recklessly and accidentally hurt someone and go, well, I didn't mean to.
No, of course. Totally agree.
So Grubauer is the answer to the tease from before the break.
That's right.
Goaltender on waivers.
I think-
Schmill a year, 890 save percentage.
The writing was on the wall when they signed DeCord to a 5-year, $5 million contract. So will we see a Saad situation like in St. Louis where they actually buy him out? They may just put him in the minors and then buy him out in the summer.
As long as they buy him out, because Grubauer's not going to agree to terminate his contract. He's going to say, pay me one way or the other. So that won't be like Saad in that way.
What's he got left on his deal?
2 more years after this one.
At
5.9
almost
mil.
Okay.
$12 million.
We got $5 million. Do we need any more Canucks talk or Crosby talk? Because
Hold on. Just
5 minutes. Did I say that right?
that you said, I think you said 5 million.
I think I did too.
Is there any outside of how to balance the sheets? Is there any team right now that could look at Grubauer and
No.
say, "I'll take a flyer on that"?
Can I give you his 4 seasons?
Philly.
4 seasons.
No, just it would. There's no reason. There's no
Well, they
reason.
got stinky goaltending, the worst in the league. And if this guy's can be decent,
You got to assume that Seattle would have offered
Yeah.
teams, I don't know, $1.5 million to take it. $2 million. Would you take him at 4, Grubauer?
Can I read you his seasons since he arrived in Seattle and signed that
Yep.
contract? His first year in 55 games, he was an 8.89 save percentage. In his second season, in 39 games, he was an 8.95. In 36 last year, he was an 8.99. And in this season, through 21 games, he is an 8.66. That is
to answer your question, Kipper, no.
Yeah.
that
Okay,
is
forget it.
that is.
50% won't get it done.
Can you talk about the
Just don't
worst
like that
return
goalie,
on
whatever you're paying him.
the worst return on investment for a contract ever?
I'll tell you, Jack Campbell's under contract till 2030. You're getting paid till 2030 with the Oilers. On that
Maybe
line.
right on that one there, buddy.
That
But
one
that's crazy. That's, and like before that, he was 917, 916, 922, 923.
wow,
And it's just like, bang.
All right, and Sid just put a stop to all the talk one last time, I think, yesterday.
Whether
I have the quote. Would you like me to read it?
I do want you to read it. Yeah.
I know how speculation works. Everybody's looking to talk about different things, different scenarios. Crosby told Taylor Haas of DK Pittsburgh Sports on Tuesday. I can't control that. I don't know where that comes from. I don't think that it's something I'm going to discuss every time that someone speculates something. I'm not going to answer that every time it happens. All my energy is here.
That's what you should say. That's exactly what you should say. And now it's over.
Really over.
Good job,
But-
Sid.
Yeah. People get her going. Get her going.
I just think that's, you kind of put that fire out. They're not going to move them. Who knows? Maybe they'll do something
Okay.
else. But
You had somewhere you wanted to go?
well, just
Last-
Vancouver before we're done. Rutherford's comments. We kind of opened
Yeah.
up the hour with it
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I still believe that JT Miller's going over Petey, but there is the possibility that you may have to deal with this after the season's over, before his no move kicks in July 1st, and I'm talking about Pettersson.
Really?
Well, you don't want to completely embarrass yourself with a move that you think you have to make that really does them no good.
No, you don't. But if they could make it work, then just make it work. If you can make it till June, can we just make it work?
I don't think the Rangers will, even if they miss the playoffs, won't trade for him because they think that they can come back and be a great team next year with him.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Jimmy waits and does that deal at the draft.
Wow, that would be. I think that's a tough pill for the Canucks and their
Sure it
fans
is.
to swallow. Like
Yeah,
how
it is.
living like this, chaos under your roof. They're a point back of the Flames, I think, in the
So just make
chase for the wild card.
make a trade, no matter how bad it is, just to do it.
That's literally what everyone has been saying is going to happen. The president yesterday said that's what's going to happen.
I think there's still a package out there with Petey and Dylan Cousins. I think there's something there.
I mean, that would be great. That would make sense, right? Buffalo looking to up their ceiling a little bit.
Some people just hate Dylan Cousins. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? A lot of people hated Sam Reinhart in Buffalo too.
Jack Eichel wasn't very popular either there.
Neither was Jake McCabe or Brandon Montour.
Oh, my God, stop.
They did like Mark Stone, though, didn't they?
No.
Best traded
He
players
was Ottawa.
that could win a Stanley Cup. We should do a best trade. Like, we should just pick traded players off of teams and put them together.
But you can do it with Buffalo and put together a pretty good team. It's scary.
See what roster you'd like best.
Quickly before we go, I'd like to formally apologize to our national audience. I forgot to put the Leafs jersey down.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You do that on purpose.
No, I completely
Your
forgot.
job is to
No,
get
I
the
know.
Leaf jersey off on our national
Sorry,
hour.
national audience. I love
They're a
you.
team in the nation. It's okay once in a while.
Once in a while.
Once in a while.
Today's the last day. I promise.
All right. You heard it from Sammy. Our thanks to Billy Guerin and Jeff Jackson. 5 games on tap. Enjoy yours, and we're back here tomorrow to cover it all on Real Kyper and Bourne.